my first YouTube video kind of without the podcast equipment. Today I kind of just wanted to talk about writing, specifically novel writing, and how I wrote my book, which it ended up being around 95,000 words, but I just kind of wanted to go over the processes, which is where this guy comes in. So it took me 4.5 years to the day, starting February 14th, 2020, to, what was it, August 14th, 2024. So it took me, I think that's 4.5 years to the day. I don't think any of it was a waste because, you know, I was just learning how to be a writer, and I feel like anybody, you shouldn't really think of it as a waste, even if it takes you a long time. Maybe hope that the next book doesn't take that long, but I don't think any of that's a waste. The interesting part is it took me 4 years to write 60,000, 50,000 words that I was a little iffy on, and then it took me 3 months to write about 40,000 words that I pretty much all kept with editing and revisions. But I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, how that breakthrough happened and how it can be possible for you too. I met Chloe Gong, the author of, where is it? Oh, it's up there, you can't see it. These Violent Delights. I met her at a conference book signing event thing, and I asked her, what's your advice for someone who's trying to write a book themselves? And especially Chloe Gong is so inspiring to me because I feel like she's so young and then she could write a book and it's really good and really popular. Her advice was just so simple, but I think it just stuck with me so much. She was like, you'll never have anything to edit or revise or publish if you just don't write the book. So you kind of just have to keep going, and it sucks, but I will help maybe break it down how I was able to finally finish it. And my book isn't published yet, but I'm in the querying phase, but I can save that for another video on like processes of querying and just my experience. Step 1, outline. So I feel like once I felt like my outline was really, really sturdy and stable, and I knew where the story was going, it was so much easier to feel like I had a direction and didn't feel like I was just cutting things out constantly. I would write a chapter and be like, oh, this sucks, like a day later, and then I would just delete all of it. A tip of advice, don't ever delete anything. Just have a big deleted folder, which mine has like 300,000 words or something ridiculous. But I frequently come back to it and kind of pull from it. And it's also a good way to see kind of your progress and your growth. Some helpful books I would recommend. A professor in my creative writing class recommended Story Genius by Lisa Cron. I think this is really good for people who can't seem to just sit down and try writing, and you're just always kind of in that brainstorming phase. So this really forces you to sit down and try writing. Save the Cat writes a novel. My dog did that, but that's okay. But this book has been recommended, I've seen, by a bunch of authors like Victoria Aveyard, who was one of the first authors that I had read that really got me back into reading. And also, this one just came out if you're writing a YA novel. It was really helpful to see examples of young adult books and how maybe that differed from the fiction. So I would say that this has definitely been, structure-wise, the most important way to get down that outline. I think the third book I'd recommend, and we read Into the Woods. It's kind of a different approach, and maybe it contradicts some. For me, like a combination of all three of these has really helped me kind of get a different perspective on how to outline and structure. And things are going to change. That's just part of it. But once you kind of have that outline done, you know, it feels like you actually have direction. Okay. This also seems obvious, but set a goal for yourself. So for me, I'm writing in the fantasy genre, which industry standards are really important to make sure you research. I've seen a lot of people say 120,000 words is kind of the maximum limit of the fantasy genre, at least in kind of like the young new adult genre. So I set my goal, 100,000 words. A really helpful tool is Scrivener. It'll calculate, okay, how many words per day do I need to write to finish this book? And so for me, to get about 100,000 words, that was just an easy round number to reach for. By August 25th, I had to write 812 words per day. But I found that the more and more that I just really pushed through and reached that 812 words, the easier it became. So that brings me to my point 3. Start a writing streak. Okay, I realize that this is kind of crooked, but just go with it. I think that this was definitely the most crucial part of me pushing through and finishing my book after what felt like an eternity. I feel like it's so easy to say, I'll just write tomorrow, like I'll just write extra tomorrow. And it never happens. I needed to write 812 words per day. I think I ended up writing over 1,000 words every day, exceeding my goal of 812. So once I got into that rhythm, the month of July was like, something was different. I don't know what happened, but I wrote over 1,000, sometimes reaching 2,000 words a day. And it all ended up being kind of stuff that I wanted to keep and is still in the final draft right now. Creating a writing streak was so important to finally just pushing through to the end. It's like working a muscle. It's like once I was writing every single day, it was not hard to do anymore. And so I think all of these are things that I learned about myself and how I work and figuring out how to wire my brain to make me finish this book. I hear my professors, they would say, you need to write every day. Even if it's 15 minutes, just set aside some time. I knew they were right, but like, I just didn't do it. It took me 4 years to write 50,000 words and a couple months to write another 50,000 words. Something along those lines. Maybe I'll put the math up here. I might be way off. Kind of going back to Chloe Gong's advice, there will be nothing to edit, nothing to revise, and nothing to publish if you just don't write the book. So it seems so simple, but I think it is so, so true. And it's exciting after all this time to finally be querying and putting my book out there and meeting agents at conferences and things like that. It's just a really exciting time, and I think I have thought about it for forever and was so excited to get here, and now I'm here. And it wouldn't have happened if I had not kind of figured out what method worked for me. So again, I would recommend these books, but if anybody has any other tips or tricks, I'd love to hear them. Trying things is what works. And maybe the next video will show how I actually do these in depth, like how I actually outline. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.